Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this fourth match in round one of the International Reparations Debate Competition 2025. My name is Jermaine Barrett, and I'll be the chair adjudicator for this match. At this time, I invite my colleague adjudicators to introduce themselves, beginning with Shavar.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shabar Campbell, and I'll be one of the wing adjudicators for this match.
Thank you, Shavar. Natalia.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Natalia Burton, and I'll be one of the wing adjudicators for this match.
Thank you very much, Natalia. And Shavar, this competition is sponsored by some amazing entities. Do you mind sharing who they are?
Of course, our sponsors for this match are the University of the West Indies MONA, the Caribbean Community CARICOM, the CARICOM Reparations Commission, the Center for Reparations Research, the Jamaican Association for Debate and Empowerment, the Repair Campaign, the PJ Patterson Institute for Africa Caribbean Public Advocacy, and the University of Hull.
Thank you very much, Shavar, and indeed we are grateful for the kind support of our sponsors. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have a match in store for you. It's an unusual match because we have only one team present here this morning, and of course that team will go through a process of engaging with the judges. Originally, the match was slated to be between deCarteret College from Jamaica, and they would have been proposing. And on the opposition side, we were slated and are lucky to have with us San Fernando East Secondary School out of Trinidad and Tobago. Unfortunate for us, we do not have with us this morning the team from Jamaica, deCarteret College. But alas, the contest will continue nevertheless. So in terms of the fact that we have one team present, what we will do, we'll hear the speeches from that one team opposing the motion. And I'll soon tell you what the motion is. And while they're delivering their speeches, we, the adjudicators, will ask them a series of points of information. They are required rather to accept each of those points of information, attempt to respond. And then the third speaker, the final speaker from San Fernando East Secondary School, will provide a more fulsome response to those questions and summarize the debate. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, our motion for this morning reads, this House prefers restorative justice as opposed to retributive justice in the quest to resolve issues relating to chattel enslavement. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that is the issue that is up for discussion, debate this morning. And so at this time, well, before I start the debate, I invite the team rather to introduce themselves. So we have here with us the team from San Fernando East Secondary High School. Good morning, team opposition. If you would just unmute your microphone and just tell our audience who you are. In the order we should be presenting, yes.
So I am the first speaker, Nathan Lachman, and I will be giving you all the introduction.
Good. Thank you, Nathan.
Good morning, sir. I will be the deputy opposition leader, and I am Maya London.
Good morning,
Okay.
sir. I'm Anaya Jones, and I am the third opposition speaker.
All right, thank you very much. Just kindly asking that when it is your time to speak, that you speak directly into the microphone so that our lovely audience can hear and engage with you. All right, good. So at this time, ladies and gentlemen, we call on the first opposition speaker to present their speech. I'm going to ask Shavar, one of our wing judges, to deliver the time signals. Be reminded that the first speaker will speak for 7 minutes, the second speaker 6 minutes, and the third speaker speaks for 5 minutes. Shavar will indicate those time signals via the chat. All right, so at this time, let us make welcome the first speaker from San Fernando East Secondary School out of Trinidad and Tobago.
Good morning, Chairman and other officials of the Center for Reparation Research and JADE. My worthy opponents from deCarteret College, Jamaica, my esteemed colleagues of San Fernando East Secondary School, Trinidad and Tobago, our online followers and viewers, ladies and gentlemen, a decade after the declaration of 2014 to 2024 as the decade of the peoples of African descent, it is unthinkable that my brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, the Americas, the United States, and around the globe are still struggling, seemingly destined to clutch on the dreaded fate of destitution, oppression, poverty, and poverty that befell their ancestors now in this age of Project 2025, MAGA, and Trumpism. I will clarify our position on the motion, giving definitions and support that with relevant examples, after which my teammates will bring forward evidence to support retributive justice based on the law and case studies. Then further the argument in relation to issues raised, then offer a way forward in the summary. My worthy opponent painted a rosy picture as a ruse to have you believe that restorative justice is the superior position in dealing with the legacy of chattel enslavement. The motion before us says, this House prefers restorative justice over retributive justice in addressing the legacy of chattel slavery. Whereas my opponents looked at some aspects of the definition correctly, let us set the record straight. This motion is about how justice can be applied in situations of wrongdoing so that the perpetrators and others who may follow will be deterred, not appeased, and the victims find closure and satisfaction, not continued repression and retribution. Hence, we do not accept the soft position. We reject the slap on the wrist. We reject restorative justice and addressing the legacy of chattel slavery. Because the acts committed to cause such harm were deliberate.
Point of information. Thank you very much. So, would you not agree with the claim that retributive justice tends to inspire conflict and animosity between peoples, between the descendants of the enslavers and those who would have been are the descendants of the enslaved, that it is likely to cause a built-up animosity between the two groups?
So, can you please kindly repeat the question, please?
Yes, yes. It is our contention that to pursue retributive justice, which involves inflicting pain or punishment on the descendants of the enslavers, that will cause animosity and conflict between peoples of African descent and those who are the descendants of the enslavers.
No. So, no, sir, I disagree. So,
You may continue your speech.
okay. Hence, we do not accept the sole position. We reject the slap on the wrist. We reject restorative justice in addressing the legacy of chattel slavery because the acts committed to cause such harm were deliberate, willful, premeditated, and egregious. Should these types of crimes be committed today, they will be called crimes against humanity, even genocidal crimes, which could be brought before the International Criminal Court for adjunct adjunctions. In the motion, the word prefer, according to the Oxford Dictionary, means to like one thing or person better than another, or to choose one thing rather than something else because you like it better. In the argument put forward by
Point of information. Point of information. Do you accept?
so repeat that, please.
Point of information.
Yes, yes.
All right, I'm going to proceed with the question. Given the fact that slavery ended centuries ago and therefore nobody who would have actively perpetrated slavery are alive today, you would be punishing or engaging in retributive justice on persons who were not themselves those persons who enacted enslavement. Isn't that fundamentally unjust?
No. So because so are people benefiting from the what their ancestors did.
Once you answer the question, you may continue with your speech.
Okay. So according to Oxford Dictionary, prefer means to like one thing or person better than another, or to choose one thing rather than something else because you like it better. In the argument put forward by my worthy opponents, restorative is aligned with values of healing, empowerment, and reparative work. Retributive justice is about the establishment of guilt and the application of a punishment proportional and worthy of the offense committed. Herein lies our position. We are choosing retributive justice because we like it better, to address the negative legacies of chattel slavery. What is chattel slavery? Can we identify the crimes of chattel slavery and the legacy of this horrid act? A system which codified racism in law, such as it meted out terror to a group of people for centuries. Did my worthy opponent make you understand that when people consider a chattel, it meant that they are not considered as human beings? Therefore, this opened the door for atrocities of all dimensions to be perpetrated, further supported by religious interpretations such as Genesis 9:25, Noah's curses on Ham as justification for enslavement of Africans. Can restorative justice satisfactorily offer solace? Closure or reparation for kidnapping and forced transportation, separation from families, denial of personhood.
Opposition leader, thank you very much. Your time has expired. Thank you. At this time, I call upon the second speaker from San Fernando East Secondary School, representing the opposition. To the motion, should we pursue, or rather preferring the retributive justice? That is what they're in support of. And so we call upon that second opposition speaker now. Here.
Greetings and good morning to everyone. I am Amaya London. Today, I will be the Deputy Opposition Leader, and our topic is retributive justice. Do you think that being punished after crime is necessary? Is retributive justice obsolete or not? These were the questions I asked myself while preparing this debate. Take a moment, close your eyes, and imagine that your ancestors are kidnapped against their own will and transported by the transatlantic slave trade, carried across the world to become slaves. What do you think should be the punishment for these slaves masters? You tell me. Now open your eyes. Open your eyes and see that retributive justice is a legal concept whereby the criminal offender receives punishment proportional or similar to the crime. As such, we decline restorative justice in addressing the legacy of chattel slavery. As my teammate mentioned, restorative justice cannot repair forced transportation, separation of families, inhumane living conditions, beatings, and lashings. It cannot. In most recent news, the CNC3 News of Trinidad and Tobago reported on March 6th that in the Southern, Western, and Eastern Division, 7 suspects were arrested for varying offenses, including burglary and narcotics possessions, during anti-crime exercises. Our justice system, which is rooted in the principles of retributive justice, is based on the premise that justice, a transaction whereby criminals receive punishments proportionate to the crime committed, and which upholds the authority of the law and help discourage others from committing similar crimes. Some advantages of retributive justice are, firstly, accountability and justice. Retributive justice emphasizes that wrongdoers should face consequences for their actions, ensuring that those who break the law are held accountable. Secondly, clear
Point of
guidelines.
information. Yes, you have yet to, and your team have yet to explain to us what are some of the things that will be done in pursuit of retributive justice. Could you enlighten us of those things?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Your team has yet to indicate to us what are some of the tangible steps that will be taken, what are some of the things that will be done in pursuit of retributive justice. So I'm asking you to inform us of those things that will be done in pursuit of retributive justice.
Well, I am getting to that information in my speech. Secondly, clear guidelines and moral justifications. Retributive justice offers clear guidelines for punishment based on the severity of the crime, providing a moral justification for the punishment. Lastly, protection of the innocent. Retributive justice emphasizes that only the guilty should be punished, offering a safeguard against pushing innocent individuals. Some positive impacts on retributive justice are pacifying outrage. Retributive justice can provide a sense of closure and justice for victims and the community, which can help to pacify outrage and restore a sense of order after a crime. Secondly, value confirmation. For some, retributive justice can serve as a way to reaffirm societal values and the importance of upholding the law. Lastly, deterrence. While the effectiveness of retributive justice as a deterrent is debated, some argue that the fear of punishment can discourage future crime. So I answer the questions I asked you in the beginning. Yes, punishment after committing a crime is necessary. And no.
Point of information. Would you not agree that restorative justice leads to more systemic and tangible change for the victims in the forms of things like reparations or education that will therefore reduce the chances of that occurring again, as opposed to just having an eye for an eye mindset?
Yes, I agree. In the King James Bible, Matthew chapter 7, verse 2, for the judgment you pronounce, you will be judged, and the measure you give is the measure you get. This side proposes the following retributive arrangements as a tribute to settle the issue in the second decade for peoples of African descent. A court of arbitration be created similar to or an arm of the International Criminal Court of Justice that will, 1, collate and determine monetary compensation through assistance to countries and communities affected by this issue. To promote economic development, it should also be involved in debt forgiveness and granting of development funds. 2, museums to create greater awareness of the horrors of chattel enslavement that includes a wall of shame with the names of all individuals, institutions, organizations, and governments. 3, removal of statues of individuals and symbols that celebrate slavery and the slave trade and return to all stolen land, artwork, and property to their rightful countries. 4, implementing sanctions to individuals, institutions, organizations, and countries that refuse to comply with ruling. And with that being said, retributive justice is the right way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're now going to pause for 1 minute to allow you to refine the reply speech. At the end of the 1 minute, we will invite that third speaker to make their presentation. Your 1 minute begins now.
Hi, sir. I'm so sorry to interrupt. Can you repeat what you said, please?
We've paused for 1 minute. That 1 minute has elapsed, and now it's time to hear the third speaker from St. Fernando East Secondary School, providing a summary and deeper responses to the questions that have been asked from the vantage point of the opposition side. Let's meet that speaker. Welcome. Third opposition speaker.
Good morning, all protocols observed. My name is Anaya Jones, and I am the third opposition speaker. As my colleague mentioned earlier, retributive justice is a legal concept in which an offender receives punishment proportional to the crime committed. Key arguments in favor of retributive justice mentioned by my colleagues were accountability. It ensures that the wrongdoers face the consequences of their actions and that the law is upheld. Clear guidelines. Punishments are matched to the severity of the crime, providing a moral and structured approach. Protection of the innocent. In principle, only the guilty are punished, safeguarding the innocent from unfair treatment. Let me share with you some positive impacts of theatrical benefits. Pacifying outreach, which my colleague would have mentioned. By delivering a punishment deemed fair and proportional, the community and victims can experience a sense of closure, thereby reducing the anger or fear that may follow a crime. Value confirmation. Retributive justice reaffirms social values and laws, signaling that crime will not be tolerated and that justice is taken seriously. My opponent failed to realize that they have not explored the effectiveness, the deterrence in law, but it is used everywhere in the world. Potential deterrence. Although this debate is about how effectively fear and punishment discourages future crimes, some argue that the existence of a fair and predictable penalty system can deter individuals from offending. Therefore, we must punish the perpetrators through measures shared by my team. A court of arbitration be created similar to or an arm of the Eternal Criminal Court of Justice that will collate and determine monetary compensation through assistance to countries and communities affected by the issue. Museums to create greater awareness of the horrors of chattel enslavement. Removal of the statues of individuals and symbols that create slavery and the slave trade, and the return to all stolen land, artwork, and property of their rightful centuries. Implementing sanctions on individuals, institutions, organizations, and countries that refuse to comply with ruling. And I conclude here. We reiterate the retributive justice is not absolute and that punishment is indeed necessary when crimes are committed. A biblical reference to Matthew 7:2. For the judgment you pronounce, you will be judged, and the measure you get, you will be the measure you give, is used to illustrate a moral dimension. As society judges criminals, it is judged by the fairness and consistency of its laws and punishments. There, my speech closes on the note that retributive justice remains a vital component of the legal system, aligning both with societal expectations of accountability and moral conditions and proportionality. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that final speech. We, as the adjudicators, will now leave to deliberate, and when we return, we'll come back with the result. Of course, it is worth noting that this team has advanced automatically to round 2 of the competition, but we'll have some hopefully valuable feedback for you when we return. Thank you.
Stolen lives, stolen wealth, stolen futures. I am Tonian Anderson, a sixth form student of deCarteret College, and I am ready to settle the debt of history.
My name is John Michael Palmer, and I believe reparations refer to making amends for past wrongdoings.
At deCarteret College, our voices carry a weight of truth, sharpened by intellect and driven by a passion for justice.
I am Paula Days, and I believe reparations are the debt owed to history. They're the echoes of stolen lives crying out for restoration.
The chains of the past still binds us.
It's time we break them.
For good.
The Center for Reparation Research is thrilled to launch this international reparation debate competition. This international reparation debate competition that we launched today for secondary schools is one of our most important projects. How do we engage youth on matters of reparatory justice? The change needed in the education system can only be advanced when the youth are engaged and their voices are heard.
Why is reparation so important in and for the Caribbean? Because time comes for justice for our ancestors. Time comes for the Caribbean to insist on the right to development, to be compensated for the violence against our ancestors. So outreach to the young people who have joined this movement is critical.
And this initiative is phenomenal. And you know why? Because it's engaging with young people. And it's young people that I believe, are going to be the future of the reparatory justice movement. The greatest weapon that there is in this whole fight for reparatory justice is the young people of today. I hope this debate spurs a whole new generation of advocates for reparatory justice, and the UK and the EU have got to make amends for the ills of the transatlantic slavery. This is going to be a phenomenal competition.
There is no mass movement that isn't a youth movement. And we certainly want reparations to be a mass movement. So it's really exciting, though, to have a regional / international debating competition. And I'm looking forward to your participation as you construct your arguments for and against, remembering that the 10-point plan for reparatory justice is our guiding framework for the areas in which we are demanding compensation, because we certainly want to impact the public opinion and awareness in Europe. So it's fantastic to have the United Kingdom participating as well.
So why is it important for youth to be involved in the reparation movement? Being involved in the reparations movement is critical to youth if one is to know their history so that they can understand why their societies are functioning as they are today. The future of the countries we live in are dependent on the current situation that exists today in our countries. And these current conditions were created by the past, including indigenous genocide, African enslavement, indentureship, and colonization. Being involved in reparations is about seeking justice, seeking a way to reduce inequalities in our own countries and then in the broader world. It's about seeking a more peaceful and balanced world, where global problems are solved in partnerships, not in isolation. I believe the sponsors are hoping this competition will allow our youth to gain knowledge about the past so that as young people, you'll be able to make better decisions in the future and make our countries better places.
We know that we need to understand stories about people that look like us. So the fact that so many of you young people have registered was so encouraged by your enthusiasm and your passion for wanting to enter this debate. It is so important. It's just at the core of who we are, that we need to understand where we come from, understand our true history, and having a debate competition on this particular topic is such an important milestone. To have a real conversation about repair, and the fact that our young people were so articulate with their presentations, and to ensure that we keep educating our young people, because you are the future of us and are the Caribbean's a sustainable future. So congratulations, everybody.
We are looking forward to the debate. Encourage everyone to join the debate. Thank you so much, all.
Where is the justice for the 5 million enslaved Africans trafficked to the Caribbean? Think about it. Chattel slavery didn't just end. It left deep, painful scars across each Caribbean country. The deliberate underdevelopment, the brutal trauma and violence we inherited. It's time to repair this damage so we can build thriving, sustainable economies where young people like us can dream big, achieve more, and live better lives right here in our own home. Do you see why repair matters? Stand with us, join the calls for justice, and sign the petition for reparations at repaircampaign.org/petition.
It's very important that this is understood, because we can't talk about legacies before talking about what left those legacies on our landscape. Enslaved Africans were subjected to the worst atrocities imaginable: kidnapping, storage in filthy barracoons, the Middle Passage, forced drowning as in the case of the slaver Zong, branding with hot iron, including by the church, with SPG being seared into the flesh of those they owned, unrelenting field and factory labor, legal codes that rendered them non-human, and harsh punishments when they resisted enslavement, deportation, dismemberment, hanging, imprisonment, severe flogging, including of women and the children. According to Lucille Mathurin Mayer, and I quote, "Neither age nor pregnancy exempted women from corporal punishment. Rather, they were laid down in the filthiest place the driver could find for floggings. Child labor was rampant, and women and girls faced sexual violence." Orlando Patterson wrote in his Sociology of Slavery the following: "The sexual exploitation of female slaves by white men was the most disgraceful aspect of Jamaican slave society." Unfortunately, the church was complicit in this crime against humanity. Initially, Christian planters did not think that the African was of theological significance. According to Elsa Gavaya, and I quote, "Early English slave law almost totally neglected the enslaved as a subject for religious instruction, as a member of a family, or as a member of society possessing some rights, as the same rights as everyone else.
Did you grow up on Anansi stories? Yep, most of us have. But did you know that Anansi played a major role in our ancestors' survival? So let's talk about it. He's more than just a trickster spider. He was a means of inspiration for resistance.
Anansi's cleverness in outsmarting his rivals mirrored tactics enslaved people used in their daily lives. By pretending to be foolish or inept, a technique known as play fool for catch wise, enslaved people lowered their enslavers' expectations and reduced suspicion. These methods, inspired by Anansi, are known as Anansi tactics, or in Chui from Ghana, Anansi Sem. Anansi outwitted powerful animals and even white enslavers using cunning and wit. During the plantation era, Anansi tales were shared in enslaved quarters and sometimes in front of European enslavers. These stories, recorded in journals, reveal how enslaved people used public performances to mask hidden defiance. Plantation whites often missed the rebellious messages in these tales. Caribbean Anansi stories depict him evading punishment, tricking enslavers, and a whole plethora of adventures which highlight the resistance and survival through Anansi tactics.
400 years ago, my people were dragged from their homes, tribes, families, placed on floating wood, and shipped across the Atlantic to what will be later described as the most inhumane act of all time. Cold, dark, uncomfortable, cannot describe the trip in ships where whips did not fail to miss. Injustice, rape and disgrace, blood rains, brute, force, ignorance, hate in their veins. Sweat and tears, labor revealed, produce from king fields only for the esteemed. 400 years of eroding one's pride, culture, heritage, value. 400 years of the iron chain, stringing up, leaving bare. Oh, but they never cared. Why fight when you would be met with sharp blades? So don't you dare cry out in fear. Why not plan escape with the plaiting of one's hair? Oh, the drums, listen, dance, communicate. For tonight we fight a battle not even death could spare. Blue eyes, white skin, master said that's beauty within. But guess what? Black, brown, gold, royalty, reparations, we are owed. Them say hassa, but we say cassava. That's where we get the strength from to beat and conquer. For tonight we're returning to Ghana. You may say, I'm a descendant of slaves because of the rich melanin that gushes from my pores. But I came to tell you tonight, I am not a slave, rather the descendant of kings and queens. I am the embodiment of the divine. I do not chase, I align, I attract. What's meant for me already has my name on it. I am the personification of beauty, the expression of love, the creator of life, the acknowledgement of freedom. So go ahead, call me what you want, because when I die, bury me in the oceans where my ancestors jumped from the ships, because they knew death was better than bondage.
And here's what does need reparative justice. It is the seasoning period when we landed on the soil and they took away our names and our gods and our culture, and no slave system that we understand thus far has ever had that deculturalization process embedded in the process of our enslavement. So our enslavement was not just physical, it was not just culture, it was spiritual, because you took me away from everything. Who then must I look up to? Who then must I emulate? Who then must I kill myself in order to elevate you?
What is common about the wealth? A flag raises high, but the strings still pull from London. We sing our anthems in borrowed tongues, march to the beat of siphons, drums, celebrating a freedom that still pays tribute. Independent? What is that when the governor's shadow still lingers? They tell us, we free. Tell that to the bones at Rappery. The 196 who fought and won only to drown in chains. Our Negmawan. Do the people of North Devon not hear the howls raging for their home? The tide spits their cries, their names foam in fury, salted by a sea that will not forget. They call us independent, yet a crown still sits above 14 nations, still bent at the knee, still ruled by a throne built from our gold. They took our labor, snatched our names, they welcomed our craft, then cast us adrift. Windrush mothers, fathers, exiled from the empire they built. What is common about the wealth? Our persistent potency that perseveres through acute artistry. We carve language into legacy, turn sorrow into song, drum resistance as rhythm, sink steel into symphony.
Hello and welcome back to this match. We would have just witnessed a match with one team and the adjudicators exploring, examining, debating the issue surrounding whether or not we prefer restorative justice versus retributive justice, retributive justice as a response to chattel slavery or chattel enslavement. And of course, the lone team that we had presenting their arguments was Fernando Secondary School out of Trinidad and Tobago. And so we, as the adjudicators, we asked several points of information and we got some responses. It is my responsibility now to sort of give an analysis surrounding the match as it unfolded. So first of all, we felt that the justification for retributive justice was on the basis of the horrors and the enormous inhumanity of the slavery experience and the horrors that would have arisen therefrom in contemporary times. And we got a lot of analysis from that, right? We get a lot of questioning from the team, the opposition team, and we get some characterization of what would have transpired in the era of enslavement, right? What we felt was also very helpful in the match was the second speaker's presentation, which characterized or explained to us what does retributive justice look like for them. So we hear that they're going to tear down statues of the enslavers. They're going to redistribute land in an equitable fashion, and several other key activities that would have been undertaken in order to see to it that there is retributive justice undertaken. 2 points of response to this. One, we thought that bit of the argumentation was misplaced in as much as we felt that it should have come from the first speaker to give us a sort of a clear understanding as to what we're talking about here, so that the debate could have flowed logically from that point of view. So the placement of argumentation is important in enabling a fulsome debate. The second concern that we have is that some of the arguments verged on restorative justice, which would have been what the proposition team, deCarteret College, if they were here, they would have been defending. So we felt like it was unclear what is it about these particular strategies coming to us from San Fernando East Secondary School out of Trinidad, what it is about them that caused them to be uniquely retributive as opposed to restorative. Yes. And then the final point we want to comment on is the fact that certainly the third speaker did not use most of their time, or probably use about 50% of the time that was allotted to them. So we wanted to see better use of time, and ultimately as well, finally, the the responses to the points of information were at times lacking as well. We needed to hear more direct responses. In the case of the first speaker, we felt like some of the responses were fairly short and quite simple. We needed to hear a bit more analysis surrounding why it is that the premise or the questions themselves that were asked by the judges, why it is that they were in fact not to be accepted. That said, the team San Fernando East Secondary School out of Trinidad and Tobago, they will advance to the next round, and they advance with a score of 240 points. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us back at about midday when we continue the competition with the fifth match in round one of the International Reparations Debate Competition. The best speaker for this competition, for this match rather, comes of course from the lone team present, and that speaker is the second speaker. Congratulations to that speaker, and of course that is primarily because of the sort of contribution that we got relating to those what retributive justice looks like. We're a bit clearer on that coming out of that second speaker's presentation. Thank you all.